So quickly, the economic solutions to this. What we've got to do is make these people who are polluting, and that includes all of us really, right? We've got to make these people polluting internalise the cost they're imposing on others. We've seen that they impose this cost, right? This from pollution. So we've got to make them internalise this cost. And we have three main methods to do that. One is we can say stop using that particular technology, or stop producing so much. We can put a tax on carbon. So as a firm pollutes carbon or uses something that contains carbon, we can charge them a tax. That's one way to make them internalise the cost that they're imposing on society. The most common method that we use these days, because everyone loves markets, and this creates a market, right, is the cap and trade system. And what the cap and trade system does is it says, okay, we can have this much pollution of carbon. We can have this much carbon emissions, which might be, let's say, well, the IPCC says that we should be looking at a 20%, like our current levels of emissions, right, should be 20% of our current level by 2050. That's going to help us not stop global warming, but slow it down enough. Also, the US could actually win from imposing stricter regulations. This is a different type of argument, which says that if you actually impose stricter standards, then you're going to force, as a large market, the US is a large market, you're going to force other countries to the same standards, because they have to sell to you, so they have to meet the same standards. So if you can force them to meet your standards, that actually gives you an advantage over the competition. Secondly, this Porter hypothesis states if you impose strict standards, everyone becomes very innovative. Everyone's trying to reduce pollution. They're trying to find ways, new technology, and there's incentives out there to find ways for new technology. And that means that they become more productive and more efficient. Here's the actual figures. This is from the Congressional Budget Office, which we trust. That's the government's budget office, right? And they're looking at the effect of that particular Waxman-Markey bill. They state that this is the maximum loss in GDP from a very strict environmental bill. 1/4 to 3/4% of GDP in 2020. 1 to 3.5% in 2050. The cost of inaction, though, well, these are estimates. Again, very difficult to make these estimates. So these are also need to be taken with a grain of salt. But 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit increase, if that's the case. Gross world product varies amongst regions, falls by 2%. If 9 degrees, gross world product falls by 5%. So that's even greater than the losses we just saw there, the cost of action. You can argue that we have a duty to the world. Also, we could gain from a more progressive economy, as we've just explained, and we would be removing, it must be remembered, an inefficiency. It is actually inefficient to do that polluting, so we would actually be removing that inefficiency in addition to creating that more progressive economy. And that is pretty much my part of this. So, questions?